Hey, what's up, guys? Season 11 of Trailer Park Boys is just around the corner, as any diehard fan would know, so we decided we were going to do a top 5 list of the best episodes that have ever come out. Coming in at number 5, Season 5, Episode 9, I Am the Liquor. In this episode, Ricky wakes up to find out that Trinity's been arrested for driving his car around with open liquor in it. So he's got to go make an appeal to the courts to get her out of the foster care by proving Lucy is a good mother. He reminds Julian that while he's gone, Jules needs to take the money that he and Ricky earned to bail Ray out of jail. Ricky then commandeers Bubbles' go-kart after his failed attempt at jogging to the courthouse. While Ricky's gone, Julian takes the money and gives it to Jim Leahy as a down payment for his trailer instead of bailing out Ray. After Julian leaves, Mr. Leahy and Randy lure Trevor and Corey over to try and get information on what the boys have planned. Trevor ends up spilling the beans about the hash driveway. Leahy then sends Randy with the money that Julian gave him to bail out Cyrus, Terry, and Dennis, and to tell them that it was the boys that stole their hash and got them arrested in the first place. Julian and Bubbles break into the impound lot to steal back Ricky's car, which contains the hash they stole. After they acquire the car, Julian tells Bubbles to go and give Ray the bad news about his bail, while he heads back to the park to check out things there. When he gets back, Julian finds out Corey and Trevor fucked up and suspends them for 3 months. At the same time, Bubbles arrives back from the prison and explains that Ray's furious and that Cyrus and his crew know what's up and are coming after them. Julian assures Bubbles that they won't be out for another 2 to 3 years and not to worry about it. They both then encounter Leahy fresh from the liquor store with a car full of booze, so he tells them he's onto their scheme, but he's not calling the cops, he's done something far worse, and leaves Jules and Bubs stumped as to what that is as he drives away feeling victorious. Meanwhile, Ricky's made his unorthodox appeal to the courts and succeeds in getting Trinity back home to Lucy. While he makes up with Lucy, Julian and Bubbles find Rick and tell him that Leahy's got a plan to screw them over and that they need his help. But Ricky, having just found out from Lucy about his dad being stuck in jail, shuns Julian and quits the operation. As Julian and Bubbles frantically try to pack up the hash, Ricky enlists Corey and Trevor to help him steal his share of the hash back. The boys get into a big scuffle over who Corey and Trevor work for, and Bubbles is forced to break it up and reunite them as friends once again. After the commotion, Julian explains to Ricky that Leahy knows about the hash, but has done something far worse than calling the cops. After Ricky asks what that could possibly be, the episode ends off with Cyrus, Terry, and Dennis being released from prison. IMDb rated this episode a 9.3 out of 10, and it's earned the number 5 spot on our top 5 TPB episode of all time. Season 4, Episode 5, Conky. Ricky and Julian approach Bubbles' shed to ask for help fertilizing their weed plants. As Ricky is about to knock, Bubbles furiously kicks open his shed door in an attempt to yank out a sore tooth and breaks Ricky's nose. While Bubbles explains his painful situation, Ricky grabs a rag from Bubbles' shed for his bloody nose, not knowing that Bubs had previously used it to clean a super glue off of his model truck, and Ricky ends up gluing his hand and the rag to his face. The boys tell Bubbles his jaw is infected and that he needs to go to a hospital, but Bubbles is too scared to do it alone and that he'd only go if he had his puppet Conky back. Ricky, in a rage for his hatred of the puppet and what it does to Bubbles, flat out refuses him, but is convinced by Julian that it's what's best for Bubbles, so they go searching for the lost puppet. They dig up Conky from the swamp they left him in back in high school, and then take Bubbles to the hospital. When they get there, Ricky gets the boys thrown out right away by trying to light up a smoke in the hospital. While the boys are trying to figure out what to do, Ricky is starting to get high off the glue he's been breathing in, hallucinating squirrels on his shoulder and talking to them, and becoming more and more infuriated towards Bubbles and Conky. So Julian decides to take everyone back to the park. On the way back, the boys notice Sam Losco has reopened his veterinary practice, so they decide to seek out help from Sam. When they arrive, coincidentally, Mr. Leahy and Randy are there, having been fed up with Bubbles' cats constantly breeding in the park and having them spayed and neutered. Bubbles, thinking Leahy is trying to have his cats put down, attacks them all, and a brawl breaks out in the vet's office. Sam, having had enough, shoots Ricky, Leahy, and Randy with tranquilizers, knocking Randy and Leahy out, but appearing to have no effect on Rick. After they all settle down, Sam explains the cats are fine and agrees to help Bubbles with his sore tooth. After Sam helps Bubs and even Ricky remove the glue rag, Conky again starts to anger the boys, and Ricky, being high and partially tranquilized, holds a gun up to Conky, not realizing Bubble is behind the puppet, and Julian has to knock some sense into him only to be fired up himself when Conky calls in Patrick Swayze, and blowing Conky's head off, but not injuring Bubbles after all. After the shit show, Bubbles comes to his senses and thanks his friends for helping him and breaking his dependency on Conky. This episode was rated 9.4 on IMDb and has got the number 4 spot on our top 5 list. Season 5, Episode 10, The Shit Blizzard. In this episode, Leahy bails Cyrus, Dennis, and Terry out of jail, knowing he'll go after the boys. J-Rock and Tyrone get out of jail on the same day and warn the boys of the shitstorm headed their way. Luckily, the boys have a stash of guns that's hidden under Leahy's trailer to protect themselves. Ricky tells Lucy and Trinity to leave the park until the danger is over. Trevor and Corey are given guns, and Trevor tells Julian that he doesn't like his gun because it looks like a pirate's gun, to which Bubbles replies, "Well, Trevor, I guess that makes you Long John Dickweed." The boys order Corey and Trevor to keep lookout on the roof of the trailer, and to have as backup when Julian gives them the signal. Cyrus and the Flappy Bird brothers arrive at the park shooting off their guns trying to lure out the boys. Julian approaches Cyrus to talk things out and makes a deal to give back the hash in exchange for peace. But Corey and Trevor think they're being robbed and radio Julian to ask if they should take the shot. Julian replies on a very staticky radio urging them not to do so. Corey, only hearing "take the shot," he and Trevor fire their guns at Cyrus and his crew, missing completely and then being shot themselves. A gunfight ensues between the boys and Cyrus and his crew. While the battle goes on, Bubbles is frantically firing his machine gun, actually not trying to hit anybody. And Ricky, who has been having chest pains the entire episode, finally keels over from a heart attack. Meanwhile, Leahy, as part of his drunken revenge scheme, lures George Green to the park to see the drug feud that's happening. Green then calls in for backup. As Cyrus, Terry, and Dennis are loading up their hash, Bubbles insists that Leahy perform CPR on Ricky, who's laying dead from his heart attack. Leahy tells Bubbles it's too late for Ricky because his brain's been without oxygen for far too long. But Bubbles insists that Ricky's brain doesn't require as much oxygen as a normal person's brain and convinces Leahy to save his life. And he does. Ricky regains consciousness only to be arrested along with Julian and Cyrus and his crew for carrying a bag full of rolled joints while on probation. Jim Leahy winds up getting an award for his bravery but makes a drunken fool of himself as always. IMDb has rated this episode a 9.4 out of 10 and has earned the number 3 spot on our top 5 list. Season 3, Episode 5, Closer to the Heart. The band Rush are in town and Bubbles is in a panic because he wants a ticket, but he's got to take one of his kitties to the vet. Scared that they'll sell out too fast, Bubbles makes Ricky promise to get him a ticket. Ricky is also unhappy because there is no weed in the park, but agrees to help Bubs. Meanwhile, Barb is angry at Leahy and Randy because the park is a huge mess and she's just received a fine for improper recycling of garbage. Jim blames it on Ricky and the boys, so Ricky, in a rage, dumps all his garbage on Leahy's lawn and speeds off in the shitmobile. Jim tells Barb that he and Randy have had a camping trip planned, but Barb forbids them until they clean up the mess. Corey and Trevor propose to Julian that they could sell weed for them at the concert and ask Ricky for weed, to which Ricky presents to them a fresh fuck off because there's no weed in town. Julian orders Corey and Trev to go buy the tickets for all of them because he knows he can buy some weed from the cops to sell anyway. Later on, Leahy and Randy overhear Corey and Trevor on the radio announcing they are in line to get Rush tickets. Jim knows the tickets are for the boys, so he forms a plan to get revenge for his ruined camping trip. When the boys meet up with Corey and Trevor, Randy distracts them all by picking a fight with Rick, while Leahy buds the line and buys all the tickets, and then tells the boys they can only get them back if they help recycle. While weeding through mountains of garbage, Bubbles hears a radio contest to be Alex Lifeson's personal guitar tech by calling in with his real last name. Foolishly saying the answer out loud in front of Leahy and Randy, they call in before Bubbles can and steal his answer. The boys then quit cleaning garbage, and Ricky takes his anger out on Leahy and Randy for the second time by ruining their barbecue and dumping garbage on their food and squirting Randy with condiments. Corey and Trevor later tell the boys they know how to get into the concert for free. Ricky asks why they were even picking garbage in the first place, to which they answered, "We saw you guys doing it and we thought it was cool." They then explain that they can get in through the sewers, Bubbles, not wanting to look like a dickweed, tells Julian he doesn't want to do that, and Julian assures his friend that it's only their last resort. Julian sends Corey and Trevor into the sewer anyway with weed and spare clothes for the boys in case they need to go through as well. Meanwhile, Ricky has the bright idea that he will go see Alex Lifeson in person at his hotel, but Alex refuses to sell him a ticket, so Ricky kidnaps him and takes him to Sunnyvale to do a private show. While Ricky is trying to get Alex to play April Wine or That Diane Sawyer song, Julian walks in shock that Ricky kidnapped a rock star. He pleads to Alex that he not press charges. This part is especially good because Ricky introduces Jules as Gord Downie, which is funny because he is the lead singer of the Tragically Hip, another very famous Canadian band.
Listen, Alex, this is Gord Downie.
Now having no other options, the boys are forced to go in through the sewers. After making their way in, they meet Corey and Trevor, who tell them they've lost the weed and clothes after hiding it all in a roadie case that got taken away. The boys then steal the band member's wardrobe, having no other clean clothes to wear. They then find Randy and Leahy and Alex getting ready for the show, and then tell Alex that Leahy and Randy cheated in the contest and were also scalping tickets, and Alex throws them out. Alex then allows Bubbles to be his personal guitar tech, and in the middle of the concert gets to make an appearance on stage. During an actual Rush concert, both the Trailer Park Boys and the band Rush were guest spots in each other's performances. This will go down as one of the best Trailer Park Boys episodes of all time because of these two epic trios of Canadian entertainment collaborating together. This episode got a 9.5 on IMDb and has rightfully earned the number 2 spot on our top 5 list. Season 5, Episode 3, The Fucking Way She Goes. In this episode, Julian gets the bright idea to flatten out all the hash they stole into a driveway outside Ray's trailer. In the meantime, Jim Leahy and Randy are trying to figure out what the boys are up to so they can, as usual, try to bust them and send them back to jail. Since the boys have been away, Ray has become addicted to the video lottery terminals and winds up in debt to J-Rock. Being in the position he's in, he actually steals $60 from Julian while he's crashed out on his couch, and when confronted by him, Ray simply says, "It was a fucking coincidence, bud." Ricky, wanting to be closer to his family, decides to throw a big barbecue and asks J-Rock if he can score him some meat and a new barbecue. Halfway through the cookout, Rick tells Julian and Bubbles to take Ray to the strip club so he can have alone time with Lucy. While at the club, Jules gives Ray some money to buy the boys drinks, but Ray, being the addicted gambler he is, heads straight to the VLTs and loses all of it. When Julian confronts Ray about it, his only excuse is, "That's the fucking way she goes." While this is going on, Ricky ends up burning all the meat, so not wanting to waste his time with Lucy, decides to cook up some fries in the deep fryer Bubbles had used before going to the club. Ricky ends up forgetting about the fries cooking, and he and Lucy go for a drive to bang behind the muffler shop. The cops show up to bust the two of them, but Rick talks his way out of it as he usually does, and heads back to Ray's trailer only to find it burning down from the deep fryer left on. Julian, Bubbles, and Ray come back to find the whole park gathered around his burning trailer, and Ricky frantically running towards them screaming, "Boys, the trailer's on fire, the flames are golfing. They're golfing out of the roof, they're golfing out the windows, they're just golfing."
Yeah, like flames fucking golfing out the roof, out the fucking door. It was golfing, there was nothing I could do. You know, it was...
Bubbles assumes it was his fault for leaving the stove on before he left. Ricky, not wanting to disappoint his dad, lets Bubbles take the blame since he had already taken it. Ray then ends off the episode by telling Bubbles, "That's the way she goes, buddy. Fucking way she goes." IMDb rated this episode a 9.2 out of 10 and remains one of our personal favorites and earned the number 1 spot in our top 5 list. Hey, what's up guys? We here at Roblox Games put a lot of time and effort into our content, and it would be very much appreciated if you could drop a like on this video, and if you enjoy this video, please subscribe to our channel for more content.